Oh yeah, so you hear about all these other masculinity channels that say to become a real man, you need to stop crossing your legs and destroy women's egos. Oh wow, what an inspiring example. Seriously, great. Let me tell you what true masculinity is not about. Let's put an end to these views-greedy channels that give advice that does not make sense and turn people into the cliché of what society blames on men. When did we lose track of what is the true essence of masculinity? When did we establish that masculinity had to be men versus women? Do I have to remind those clueless, greedy influencers that we need both men and women to build a planet and functional society? Let's debunk what false modern masculinity completely got wrong and polarize men into either absolute toxic machos or give up on their masculinity. Number 1, softness is not a weakness. As men, we are taught to disregard emotions. We are taught that feeling makes us weak. That feelings are for women. Ha ha, great. So basically, we are machines, aren't we? That's not how it works. Owning your emotions is a sign of strength. Allowing your emotions to flow through is a sign of strength. Want to try blocking them? Want to try disregarding them? It's called dissociation. Sure, go ahead, man. But there will be a debt that is growing and growing. That will come with interest and a bad credit score. You know what they are. It's called a coping mechanism, a way for your mind to still exteriorate the emotion you refuse to process. Because there is no escaping your emotions. What doesn't get expressed gets printed within you. These are complex mechanisms that we will study with other videos. And you know what these mechanisms do? They hurt your loved ones. They hurt your decision-making, your career, your ambitions, and your soul. Refusing your emotions is refusing yourself. And now is the time that we come forward as men, claiming that we too have emotions. We too have feelings, and that does not make us any less of a man. Cry in front of a movie. Be vulnerable to your loved one. Voice what you feel inside your gut. Express yourself for God's sake. Men have a higher suicidal rate, at least twice higher than women. Now, go explain to me how repressing one's emotions is healthy. I haven't said you should let your emotions control you. I said to accept them and process them. That's very different from repressing them. Please do that. More on that in another video. Number 2, strength versus domination. Oh wow, you're at the top of your team. Oh wow, you have such a successful business. Oh wow, you get so many women and work so hard. Guess what? It does not mean anything as your value as a human being. Every human being is equal in life value. The president, the sanitation worker, the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, a waiter at the restaurant. There is not one life that weighs more than the other. Sure, some of them have more impact on society than others, but it still doesn't make their life value any more valuable than any other human. I have met great CEOs, powerful businessmen, and successful influencers. Guess what? You don't need to be arrogant and flash your success at other people's faces and treat them like inferiors to be successful. I have met very successful people who knew how to treat everybody as their equals, and it doesn't make them any less successful. At the end of the day, success reveals you. It does not change you. Do not let anyone treat you badly because they are, quote unquote, more successful than you. And if you are, quote unquote, successful, never allow it to make you think you're more valuable than any other human being. Power as a man has become this weird taboo topic in modern society because of patriarchal abuses in the past. You have to feel safe owning your inner power. And that will come once you understand you can be powerful without exercising power over others. There is no such thing as controlling others. If you try to force them or manipulate them from a selfish place, you'll end up in a sad situation, even if you manage to make money out of it. Look at Anakin Skywalker. He was powerful and brilliant, but he wanted too much. He thought he could attempt to dominate everything, even death. His pursuit of trying to control everything had him being led by fear. He got consumed by anger and thirst for power, which led him to commit atrocities willingly and also by mistake, only to end up at his lowest right after. Had he accepted that everything is about balance and that he can only control himself ultimately, the outcome could have been very different. He might be a fictional character, but his story is a great metaphor that illustrates the idea that confusing strength and domination can cost greatly and hurt you and the ones you love. Number 3. The obligation of performance in everything. You gotta make a lot of money. You gotta have a lot of muscles. You have to be emotionally vulnerable. You have to be very good in bed. You have to be strong no matter what. Hey, no wonder the suicide rate is twice as high for men compared to women. Don't get me wrong, women have their problems, much different than ours, and I do not diminish in any way the challenges women face in our current society. However, the difference between men and women is that society has taught men not to voice their emotions. And that ties back to what we discussed earlier in this video. Point being, not being able to be vulnerable and having to perform at many challenging levels constantly is a dangerous cocktail. Most cultures have or had traditional family models where the man had to be the provider and was somehow assessed according to his ability to provide. Social media also perpetuate the normalization of hyper success. You see all these kids flashing Lambos in Dubai because they made a lot of money online. You see all these masculine figures in Hollywood movies where they are all in impeccable shape with huge muscles that actually take years and huge effort to develop. Remember that bodybuilding is part of their full-time career. Remember that no matter how much Instagram shows successful people, it still represents a minority. And it is okay to have goals. It is okay to want to be in shape. It is okay to want to make more money. But do not let these traditional dogmas and social media illusions let you feel less of yourself. And again, talk about your emotions more. I think it is great that we get more and more used to seeing couples where the woman earns more than the man. I think this is great. We're seeing more and more stay-at-home dads. Women do it too. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with wanting to be here for your family, spending more time with kids, and seeing them growing up? Nowadays, there is this shame projected on both men and women wanting to be stay-at-home moms or dads. What the hell? Seriously, can we come back to much deeper and grounded values that revolve around love, compassion, and authentic connections? You should perform, but on your own terms, with your own definition of performing, your own definition of success, at your pace. The only person you should compare yourself to is yourself. I know it's easier said than done, but let me tell you about Dave Mustaine, the former guitarist of the famous band Metallica. He was fired from the band because of personal conflicts and kept on with his career solo. He has been recognized as a very successful and talented artist on a global scale.
Wow. Fantastic. Only took 12 tries to get this.
Yet, he thought very negatively of himself at some point because he would compare his success to his former band, which had an even bigger success. Lots of artists would have dreamed of reaching his level, yet he would keep comparing himself instead of contemplating his great achievements. At the end of the day, there are so many things to tackle about the place of men in society and how we have to reframe the conversation around healthier values and work better as a society. Check this video to dive deeper into these concepts. Subscribe to join this journey and take care of your soul.